Hi, moms and dads. How are you? Monica here with the best interest of the parent. We're starting a little late tonight because at the very last minute, my daughter decided that she wanted to come with me. So I had to get her out of the tub and bring her along. So here she is. Um, she's going to be nice and quiet, right? I'm going to say hi real quick. Just say hi one time.
Hi.
Okay. And then you go play, okay? Let mom work.
Okay.
So tonight, this topic is amazing because this is actually one of my favorite topics. This is a topic that I personally struggle with in my own custody case. So if you are joining me for the first time, I'll just give you a rundown of what the best interest of the parent is all about. So as you know, the reason you're following me is probably because you got punked in the family court system and you have seen how family court has destroyed your family and so many other families. That's no secret. And you have probably experienced the agonizing psychological torture that the state has injected into your life, and the repercussions of all of that abuse. And the rebuilding takes a long time. I mean, I'm almost 12 years in and I'm still rebuilding. And so that without a roadmap and without like a healing structure, like a healing regimen, like a way to a thing to tap into to nourish your body, mind, and spirit during this whole custody ordeal, if you don't have that, and if you don't have a roadmap on how to strategize your rights and your whole strategy, how to set proper boundaries, how to properly defend yourself against a narcissistic community like family law. Sadie, can you please be quiet? Shh, shh, shh. And if you don't have those tools, you can get worse and worse and worse as the years go by, as you continue to litigate for equality and your rights to your children, litigate for your children's welfare. This incrementally just breaks us down over the years. And I have just seen so many parents fall victim to all this, where they become permanently disabled and they just become a victim. They just embody this victim consciousness. And how could they not? There's no roadmap. So without a roadmap, that's kind of where we end up going. I was certainly there for like 5 years. So when you become a warrior and when you become an activist, that victim identity just gets snuffed out naturally. So this leads into our topic tonight. What do you say when people tell you that you're being selfish in your custody case? So this is such a great topic, because most of you who have ever dared be a little extra and take up a little bit of space and advocate for what is you and your child's welfare, because almost all the time, almost all the things that you're fighting for that serve your interests also serve your children's interests. You can't really serve your interests without having your children's interests be served as a side effect. If you're looking out for your interests, as long as you're being mindful and conscious about it, we're going to talk about that in a second, then by extension, your children's interests are naturally going to fall together on their own. We don't really need to go in and advocate for our children's welfare if we're already advocating for our own welfare, as long as we're conscious about it. So let's talk about that. So I'm going to give you 5 things that you could do or say or embody when people tell you that you're being selfish in your custody case. And if you haven't been yet told that you're being selfish, be prepared, because if you take on an activist mindset, if you're not a victim, if you're not a people pleaser, because people pleasers become victims. It seems like that's the right thing to do. I'm just going to be malleable. I'm going to say yes to everything. I'm not going to take up any space. I'm going to make things easy for everybody. When you do that, you're going to become a victim, I promise you. And victims suffer a lot, and victims get sick. People pleasers get sick. I have been an abdominal therapist for 6 years now, and I was a massage therapist for like 11, 12 years. People who come in with the most aches and pains, the most systemic issues in their body, the arthritis, the IBS, the migraines, the heart palpitations. When the people that come to me with those issues are the people pleasers of society, and you're going to end up just embodying a victim consciousness and get sick. And then what? Your kids are going to end up having to take care of you at some point down the line. Maybe when they're 25 or 30 and you're in your 60s, you might have to start depending on your children. And do we really want to set our kids up for that? So the first thing that I want you to do, so we're actually going to start with like step 0. So step 0, before we even get into step 1, let's go to step 0. Let's just make absolute sure. Let's just do a little housekeeping. When with this whole like selfish thing, oh, you're being selfish. The way you're acting is selfish. You're not looking out for your kids' interests. You're looking out for your own interests instead. You need to focus on your kids. When you hear that, do a 20-second check-in with yourself and say, am I being fair with what I'm fighting for? You know, if my ex didn't pay attention to my needs, or my ex was really messy in the house, or my ex was always late to everything, or my ex has a really crappy mother, or my ex doesn't make a lot of money, all the faults about your ex, if you're still angry about those faults and those things that possibly could have led to the breakdown of your marriage, if those things are still permeating your moods, if they're still bothering you, and you want to have sole custody of the kids because of that, and then perhaps what you're asking for is selfish. So just do like a check-in. Just be like, am I being objectively fair with what I'm fighting for? And so in my case, this is really interesting, and I don't really share this very often. It's not in my book. It's really nowhere. But here I'm putting it out there. The first month of my custody battle, I tried to move out of state with my son. I was trying to move me and my son to Massachusetts, and I was trying to get a relocation. You know, I was trying to get like a relocation thing, like, I don't know what they call it, when you ask the judge for permission to move out of state. So I was living in Connecticut. I wanted to move to Massachusetts. And I was like, it's better for my son to go to Massachusetts, blah, 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 better schools, better this, better that. And then I could pursue my massage therapy career in Massachusetts, less licensing restrictions, blah, blah, blah. Connecticut, it's harder to get a job. So that was kind of my argument for the first month. And that's when I knew nothing about family law. I was like, you know, whatever. I was listening to my freaking coworkers and my mother and my female lawyer. So I'll be honest with you. I only got advice from other women who've been divorced, which I don't recommend. And so all my friends were like, oh, girl, go get your career, go move, go be you, go do your thing, you know, be that cool single mom. And I'm like, okay, because I was a people pleaser back then. Okay. This is 2009. I did what everybody told me to. I didn't have any sense of self. I just asked for advice, and I took on other people's value systems, and I lived in other people's mindsets, and I didn't have any of my own ideas and beliefs. So I was like, okay, I'm going to do that. And so, of course, my attorney was all about that, because attorneys love it when you act like that in court. So, of course, my attorney was like, okay, we're going to do this. And after about a month, I was like, oh, this doesn't feel good. This feels kind of icky for me to ask for this, because I'm basically taking my son away from his father. My son's father is going to have to cross state lines to see my son or whatever. And it just didn't feel right. So I actually withdrew that part of my claim after a month. My attorney ended up firing me for it. Good riddance, lady. And then I ended up hiring a male attorney. Not that matters. It doesn't matter if you hire a male or female. I'm just saying that. So I ended up hiring a new attorney, and I dropped that entire part of my claim. But because I understood that I wasn't being fair. My son's father wasn't abusing him. My son's father was not a nice person. He's still not, but he wasn't abusing him. He wasn't doing anything wrong. And my son was tightly bonded to his father, and he was also bonded to me. And I did not want to create an every other weekend parenting schedule out the gate. So step 0 is to check in and make sure, is what you're asking for your ex. If you're asking that your ex has blah, 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 like no decision-making authority on medical, no decision-making authority on educational, you don't want your ex to choose your child's religion. You don't want your ex to decide if and when your child gets a passport. Ask yourself, would I be okay taking on the roles as a parent that I'm asking my ex to take on? Would I be okay with that schedule that I want my ex to take on? Would I be okay with that? And if the answer is no, then I would not, like, personally, like, I don't feel karmically aligned with any of that. Like, I would not ask for anything of the court that I wasn't willing to take on myself. So that's step 0. That's optional. I recommend you embody step 0. Make sure that what you're asking for is actually fair. Make sure it's fair, regardless of how you feel about your ex. Most of you are out of that phase. You're not doing that anymore. Occasionally I get some parents that are like, how do I get sole custody? What do I do? Then I just direct them to another group. So step 1, we're going to get into the actual meat of my live stream now. Okay. That was just a housekeeping step.
Mommy,
so
I'm hungry.
Okay. Well, we'll eat when we'll eat later. Okay.
No, there's a kitchen.
Okay. Well, there's no food in there, babe. So, Sadie, you remember you said that you weren't going to talk while I was doing my work? We'll go. I'll make you some rice after. Okay. Okay, so step number one, ask yourself this question. This is a question to ask yourself, not your lawyer, not anybody else. Just say, is this something I have to fix? Other people thinking that I'm acting selfishly, my ex saying I'm selfish, the GAL saying I'm selfish, the judge saying I'm selfish. Do I have to fix that? Is that something I have to fix? So you're in court because the courts are the legal side of our government. You know, you're in the judicial branch because you're in a legal situation with another person. So is being selfish codified in any of the laws anywhere? Is there a law somewhere that says if you are selfish, you're going to lose your fundamental right to raise your children as you see fit? Because that's the thing. Like when someone's telling you that you're being selfish, it triggers fear in us to become people pleasers. It triggers us to abandon what's good for us. It triggers us to self-abandon and then take on what we think other people want us to do. Like, oh gosh, the GAL thinks I'm selfish. I better change everything and then fight for this thing that I don't really believe in. So is that something that you have to fix? Somebody else's opinion of you, is that something that needs to be fixed? Is there a law that you have to now defend against? Is there a legal controversy here that you have to now participate in? Do you have to now do you have to do legal work? Is this a legal issue? It's not. Being selfish is not a legal issue. Unless you could find a law somewhere, if you're in Utah or Arizona or Alaska or something, and there's a law that says that being selfish means that you're going to lose your kids, then please send me that law. Because you only see this in family law. When other parents want to spend time with their kids and want what's best for their kids and want what's best for themselves, like if you're looking for two different jobs, you're going to naturally choose the job that is going to offer better benefits, closer to home, more positive work environment. So you're going to naturally serve your own interests when you choose a job. When you choose a house, if you're house shopping, you're gonna be like, well, that yard's a little bigger. This house is in a better location. You're going to naturally weigh out your interests. You're going to say, well, what's important to me? What's not important to me? When you're buying clothes, when you're cooking dinner, every decision that you make, you're trying to serve your own best interests when you're making decisions. So if you're in a legal situation, you're naturally going to fight for what is in your interests. and so anywhere else in the world, you're choosing a house, you're choosing which degree to get, you're choosing which school to put your kids in. No, all the other decisions you're making, nobody would ever say, well, that's kind of selfish. What you're doing is selfish. You're choosing a house in this neighborhood. That's very selfish. You're just thinking about yourself. You know, if you buy that house, that means that someone else can't have that house. You know, if you're at a store and there's one item left on the shelf and you really want that item, no one's going to walk up to you and say, well, why would you take that last item? That's someone else could have that. What, sweetheart? Okay, well, you're going to have to wait until I'm done. The deal was that you're going to let me do my job, Sadie. Okay, well, not right now. So you only see this in family law. And so again, is this something that you have to manage now? Somebody else's opinions, is that now your responsibility? Ask yourself, is this my responsibility? Is this mine to take on? Is this my thing? I'm going to just tell you, no. This is not legal advice at all. If you want to make this a thing that you pursue, go for it, because I can't give you legal advice. But I'm telling you right now, when you, and this kind of leads into my next point, when you suddenly start worrying about the opinion of somebody else, you're going to abandon your original strategy. So let's just say you have this amazing legal strategy. Say you're reading the Constitution, right? You're reading Ron and Sherry Palmer's materials. You're taking my course, The Best Interest of the Parent. You're reading books. You're paying attention to parental rights. You're reading case law about parental rights. You're learning about what the government can and cannot do. You're getting you're strengthening your cognitive functioning up here. You're learning how to articulate. And then someone says, well, you're being selfish. Are you going to abandon that in order to please these people? And I'm kind of getting into my next point, but I just want to say one more thing about this point here. You only see this in family law. And it's not necessarily something that you have to fix. Now, a lot of parents are going to panic and say, well, but wait a minute, the judge gets to make a final decision. If the judge thinks I'm selfish, then the judge legally could just take my child away from me. So yes, you are absolutely right. You are so 100% right. Okay. All right. Well, I can't help you, babe. You're right. The judge can take your child away. If the judge thinks you're selfish, the judge absolutely can take your child away. So what, Monica, why are you telling me that this is not a legal issue? Well, if you don't give permission, Sadie, what?
How much time will be done?
15 minutes. Okay. So if you don't give permission for the judge to even make an opinion on whether or not you're selfish and whether or not you're being selfish allows the judge to take your kid away from you, if you make sure that you protect yourself and insulate yourself from the opinions of other people, like the judge, right? Then you're in better hands, And so here's my final point I want to make on this issue. If it's selfish to pursue your welfare in court, if it's selfish to pursue what's best for you, for example, you don't want to go to co-parenting therapy with your abuser, right? And you're like, no, this is wrong. This doesn't feel good. This is going to aggravate my post-traumatic stress disorder. This is going to aggravate my anxiety. This isn't good for me. I'm going to say no to this. Okay. Let's just say that that's considered selfish, because often we're told that we're selfish when we refuse to enmesh ourselves with our abuser. Okay. So if you're going to defend that and you're thinking that I'm full of crap here watching this live stream, and you're like, well, screw her. I'm not going to listen to Monica. I'm going to do whatever they want because I don't want to lose my kids. Let's just say that's true. Okay. Then why hire an attorney at all? Why even bother hiring an attorney? You hire an attorney to defend your interests. So why do that? If it's selfish to defend your interests, why in the world would you spend money on an attorney to do that thing that is supposedly selfish? Your attorney is going to ask you what you want and blah, blah, blah. And so none of us should ever get attorneys. We should never get attorneys. We should get served. We should get summoned. We should show up and just surrender. Be like, judge, you got this. It's all on you. I'm just going to sit here and take whatever you throw at me. We would never get attorneys. Why file motions? Why file briefs? Why look up case law? Why use the law library? Why get advocates? There's no point. If we're all being selfish, then we shouldn't do anything that could be looked at as selfish, like get an attorney to defend us. So I'm just using some logic here. So we're going to go into the next point, which I already touched on a little bit. When you get triggered that somebody tells you that you're selfish, you're like, oh my God. Okay. You guys freaking panic when this happens. Okay. I know, because I see you guys writing on Facebook all about it. You guys are like, oh my God, what do I do? The GAL thinks this, the GAL doesn't like that I went and got myself a girlfriend. The evaluator doesn't like that, that I just bought a car. I just bought a new car. It's not family friendly. It's not an SUV. I don't know who, these people like to judge us. The evaluator doesn't like that I got a 1-bedroom apartment. Okay. The GAL doesn't like that my kids are going to have to sleep in the bedroom and I'm going to sleep on a futon in the living room. That's a big problem that parents have. They're like, they're not going to like my house. Look, if you have a legal structure that was investigated by the town, they pulled permits to build it. It has running water, it has electricity, it has a roof. Then nobody can tell you what kind of freaking house you're allowed to live in with your kids. So, come here, sweetheart. So, when you panic about what other people think of you, when you're not grounded and centered in your own welfare and in your own best interest, because when you're centered in your beliefs and your fundamental core beliefs about what's right in your case, then nothing can really break you. You're secure. But when you're insecure about your beliefs and like, okay, I'm going to pursue this because this is what's good for me, blah blah blah. When you're not secure in that, you're going to pivot from your strategy. You're going to abandon your strategy. You're going to abandon your own welfare. And then you're going to start chasing down the approval of these people. And so I believe that when people tell you that you're being selfish, I believe that is a tactic to get the parent to abandon their legal strategy. And then what they do is then that parent spends the next 6 months and like $10,000, because that's the thing. Parents will hire experts to prove that they're good people and they're not selfish. And it's not wrong to date when you're going through a custody battle, and it's not wrong to change jobs when you're going through a custody battle. So you'll start hiring new experts. You'll get your own evaluation. You're going to abandon your legal strategy and then chase down the approval of other people and spend all your time and money and energy doing that instead. And the whole case becomes you fighting back against this opinion. and that just throws your whole case down the toilet because yep, that's right. It says Monica Shimonik. That's right. And so and then there's no protections for you. There's no protection when you're doing that because you're just trying to change somebody's opinion. And then you're trying to prove to the judge that opinion is wrong and that your opinion is right. And it's just a watered down strategy, and it's not rooted in fundamental rights. It's not rooted in constitutional law. It's not rooted in anything. So if you don't believe me, don't do that, sweetheart. If you don't believe me because I'm not an attorney, hire a civil rights attorney for an hour and talk about this. Say, should I be spending my time and energy chasing down somebody else's approval instead of rooting myself into my own rights and my own truth? Okay. So that's another point I want to bring up. So the third point, and this is a yummy point. I'm pivoting to something that I'm just going to tell you as a health coach who's very spiritual. And I believe in things like Tantra, where healing is found inside pleasure. So, eating food, baby, please don't do that. Eating food that's really, really delicious. Going places that feel good, like going on nature hikes where you're like taking in the scenery and you're like, oh, this is amazing. Like yeah. Seeking pleasurable activities, according to the tantric philosophy, is a way to heal yourself and a way to take care of your health, your mental health, physical health. And so I would suggest to you all to be unapologetically joyful and pursue the things that are all about your personal interests, your personal pleasure. And that is, in this culture, is looked at as selfish. It's not seen that way in other cultures. Eastern philosophy, they don't see it that way. They see pleasure as healthy. If we could all pursue pleasure, then we're all going to be a healthier society because we're taken care of. And so we want to see other people taken care of as well. It's not a zero-sum game. It's not either or. But in our culture, especially family law, we see people pursuing things that are good for them as selfish. So I'm going to tell you that if you're unapologetically joyful and unapologetically pursuing things that feel good to you, listening to music that feels good, going to a concert. If your freaking GL finds out you went to a concert on a Saturday instead of planning your kid's birthday party, doing things that make your body feel good, going on nature hikes, getting a massage, eating food that's good for you, or good tasting food, spending time with people that make you feel good. Fill your bone marrow with pleasure and happiness. And that's going to heal you. It's going to heal you from the trauma that you underwent in the marriage. And it can help heal you from past traumas before you even met your former spouse. And when you're taking care of those areas of your life, you can better show up in court. You can, module 6 really gets into this more, where I encourage you to create a ritual on court day, the day after, the day of court. So if you're one of my students, go to module 6 and revisit that if you want to get more into this topic. So when you are pursuing things that are pleasurable to you, you can, you just function better overall, and especially during a crisis like family court. Okay, so you can't lose. And again, I'm going to say this again, when you're taking care of yourself, your kids get to experience the best version of you. And how in the world can that possibly be selfish? So being selfish, what the state wants to call selfish, when they're dealing with you, you're giving your kids the best version of you. So, but listen, the court does not want you to do that, because parents who take care of themselves depend less on the system. They don't breastfeed off the system. It's the parents who are traumatized, freaked out, scared, panicked, guilty, feeling ashamed, feeling obligated, feeling judged. the parents who embody that energy. Oh, there's a tick on my daughter's head. Hang on one second. You have a tick on you. Hang on, guys. Sorry. Stay still.
Ow.
I just pulled a tick out of my daughter's head. All right. Okay. Let me see. Okay. He didn't draw blood. And there's an ambulance driving by, so the timing couldn't be better. We're just going to get all the distractions out of the way. Hang on. Let me look at your head, Sadie. Lay down. Let me see. Okay. He didn't draw blood. I pulled him out with my bare hands. Hang on. Stay still. Let me check for
Can I
more.
see him?
Yeah, he's inside the candle. See? See? He's crawling around. Okay. You could go look at him, but don't take him out. I don't think she would do that, but you never know. All right. You could go look at him. Okay. I pulled so many ticks out of my kids' heads in the past couple months. So where was I? Yeah, the system does not want you to embody the best version of yourself.
Coming out.
Yes, I know. He's not going to come out, baby. Okay. The system doesn't want you to embody the best version of yourself because those are the parents who don't comply. They don't buy the services. They don't pay for all the legal expenses. They don't spend as much money. Confident parents don't spend as much money as scared, guilty, freaked out, panicked parents. They just don't. I mean, look at me. I'm a perfect example of that. I spent more money in the first 5 years of my case because of the state of mind I was in. So we're going to go to point number 4. Let's see here. Yeah. So here's the thing. None of this matters if you don't believe that you are deserving of being treated with dignity and respect. And choosing to guard your energy and have agency over your own welfare is your right. It's your right. It's your birthright. Just by virtue of being on this planet, you have the right to those things. You have the right to dignity. Yep. He's going away. Okay, good. You have, okay. Pursuing things in your case that protect your dignity, pursuing things that preserve your right to be treated with respect. Because oftentimes the things that were being called selfish is like refusing a psych eval, refusing to go to therapy with an abuser, refusing to give up your rights to your children, refusing to go on supervised visits. So when you're being uncooperative and selfish, what you're also doing at the same time is exercising your right to be treated with respect and dignity. Okay. And that's your birthright. That's not like a family court right. That's just your right as a person on this planet. Just the minute you were born, you had these rights. You had the right to be treated with dignity, respect, and anywhere else you go, wherever else you go, your job, the grocery store, the airplane, anywhere else you go. I mean, where else do people go? Restaurants, you have the right everywhere you go to be treated with dignity and respect. And so that also applies to family court. Family court's not special. If you can't be forced into a psych eval at your job, then you can't be forced into a psych eval at the courthouse. Or if your waitress can't force you to interact with your ex a certain way, then neither can a guardian ad litem or a judge or whatever. Like if other people can't force you to do things, why would the family court be able to force you to do those things? Your kids' teachers can't force you to do anything. No one could force you to do nada. So no one can treat you with disrespect. Like it's just not allowed. Okay. And so just because you're in family court doesn't mean that you suddenly you just have to open yourself up to that. So family court isn't special. They are not special. If anything, they have fewer authority to do these things to you because they're a government agency, and government agencies have to apply to strict standards. They can't, they can't get away with the things that like private businesses can. Like a private business doesn't have to necessarily give handicap accommodations. If it depends on the size of the business. There's a lot of criteria, but a government agency has to allow people of all abilities into their facility to utilize their facility. So, I mean, that's just an example. So certain things simply aren't allowed anywhere. So look, if you can't be treated a certain way at a restaurant or at the movie theater or at the mall or at your kid's school or in your neighborhood, then you do not have to be treated that way in the courthouse. Unless you give consent to the judge determining your kid's best interest, then that's a blank check. You just wrote a blank check to the state to direct whatever they want to do to you, which is why I'm 100% against best interest of the child. If you want to learn more about these sort of things, take my course or research Ron and Sherry Palmer's materials. Okay, get their book. It's $35. It's called Not in the Child's Best Interest. You will learn all about all that stuff. Okay, I'm not just making this up. Okay, I am not. Look, I'm smart, but I'm not that smart. I could not have come up with all this on my own. Okay, I just know what's allowed and what's not. So if again, I'm just going to say it again. If none of this matters, if you don't believe that you are deserving of being treated with dignity and respect, and choosing to guard your energy and having agency over your welfare is your birthright. It's your birthright. Okay. Now that said, and this leads into my fifth point. That said, if you're not convinced, if you still don't believe me, do the thing first. Hang on, I actually wrote this down in my phone. I wrote these notes in my phone. Okay. Hang on. If you're not convinced, yeah. Okay. So this is what I want to tell you. If you're not convinced, sometimes the actions have to come first before the knowing. So that what that means is you might not be convinced up here, but I want you to take action anyway. I want you to defend yourself anyway. I want you to pursue your own interests anyway, your own selfish interests anyway, your own pleasure, your own right to be treated with dignity and respect. Pursue it anyway, even if you don't believe me up here, even if it doesn't make sense cognitively. If you might have some wounding from your past that says you don't deserve these things. But what if you just stepped into that action anyway, and then just wait, and then eventually your mind and your inner knowing will follow. So sometimes the actions have to come first before the knowing.
Mommy, what, babe?
Is
this Adam?
Yeah, it is. Yep. Okay, can you go put it back?
And this is Jason?
That's right. Yep. Okay, so yeah, you need a full body knowing. Hang on 1 second. I lost it. Sorry. Okay, you need a full body knowing that you need to embrace your inner warrior and lead with that. Lead with the inner warrior and not the toxic people-pleasing side of you, okay? Even if you're not totally on board mentally, that you even have warrior energy in you. Some people, they think they're not warriors. That's for other people. All the activist stuff, that's for other people. That's not for me. No, that's not true. You all have a warrior in you, okay? So I want you to lead with the inner warrior, even if you're not convinced of it, even if you don't feel it. Do it anyway, and then the rest will follow. Like your mind will follow and your gut instincts will follow, okay? As you become more aware of your value, you're going to start acting out actions that people who believe they have value do. Okay, I'm going to say it again. When you become more aware of your value, and the value that you have is the sacred role as your child's parent. I'm going to actually give you a concrete example of what I mean by that. What is that energy in you that would have you jumping in front of a milk truck to save your child? If we even have milk trucks. So big trucks coming down the road, your child's playing with a ball, you're going to jump in front of that truck and get yourself knocked out so that you could save your child. So what caused you to do that? Do you think that was you like mapping it out and making a educated guess on whether or not you could save your child? No, you're just going to jump out in front of that truck no matter what. You're going to jump off the pier and save your child. If your child's drowning, you're just going to go for it, right? That energy is your inner warrior. You have it in you, and you know how to use it, because you know damn well if something was going to happen to your child, you would jump off a cliff or jump in front of a milk truck to save your child. So you can lead with that. That person is there. All right. So I'll just say it again. When you become more aware of your value, you start acting out the actions that people who believe they have that high value do. When you believe you have that value, it's a no-brainer. If you don't believe that you have that value, do it anyway, and then the rest will follow. All right. And this, in this bullshit here that you're going through is going to allow you to explore how far you're going to go to honor what's true for you, like honor your own heart, honor what's right for you. Because when parents don't stand up for themselves and they comply, they regret it. They ruminate over things for years after their case is over, and they always wish they had done more. I have never met a parent who says, I really wish I didn't do as much. I wish I was just quieter. I wish I just took up less room. I've never heard a parent say that, but I always get parents say they wish they had done more. And so there's a gigantic part of you that has to die off in order to honor this version of your best self. You know, you have to just kill off that people pleasing ego part to carry this out, to follow this advice that I'm giving you tonight. Okay. It took me years to get here, like 7 or 8 years. So I don't expect you to get it right away. But if you have already been punked by the system, now is a good time to start taking this on. Okay. So let's see here. I believe I covered everything, but I'm going to just finish with something cool that I want to teach you. So we just had a solstice. You know, I love doing things around this time of year. And so I brought with me today some rocks. I have 4 rocks. Okay. I just found them. I want you to go on this like mission where you're looking for rocks and just pick out some rocks that look nice to you or whatever. Okay. And then I want you to get yourself a piece of chalk. Okay. I got some chalk. And I want you to think of all the emotions that come up when you think about, you know, people saying you're selfish or being selfish or pursuing things that are good for you instead of what's good for the system and favorable to your ex and all that stuff. So one thing parents run into a lot when they're faced with this is they say, well, I'm going to be judged. I don't want to be judged. I don't want the judge to think that I'm, you know, this, that. I don't want the judgment, you know. I don't want to be stared at. I don't want to be looked down upon. So you're fearing judgment. Okay. So what you could do is you could take one of these rocks and you could take a piece of chalk and you could write down the word judgment on the chalk. Okay. I'm just going to write the word J because I have a really small rock. So I wrote the word J on this rock. Okay. What's another emotion that comes up? A lot of parents feel guilty. Oh my God. If I go on that cruise, if I take a, you know, God, there was one parent that wanted, oh my God, I hope you're watching. This parent I talked to 2 years ago, she wanted to sing in the choir. And she was so afraid if she sang in the choir that the judge would think that was selfish because she should be spending more time with her son. And she only had her son like every other weekend or something. So she spent 2 hours, you know, singing for the choir. Then she's not spending 2 hours with her son. And she was so afraid that she was going to be judged for that. And she also felt guilty. She's like, I have so much guilt. And I said, okay, well, how would it feel to let's just say that there's no guilt and you were singing in the choir. Okay. How would that feel for you to sing in the choir? She's like, oh my God, it would be amazing. It would heal me. It would make me feel whole again. It would make me feel alive again, all this stuff. Cause she used to be a singer. I said, great. So if you got rid of that guilt, because I said, your son's going to be fine with it, right? She's like, oh, of course. He'll just play video games. He's cool. I was like, all right, so you just feel guilty because you feel guilty and that's it. And so you could have a rock just for guilt. Okay. And a lot of parents go through this, especially women. This is definitely like a more women, you know, emotion here. So I'm going to make a G for guilt. I have really tiny rocks, but I want you to get bigger rocks. All right. So we have a rock for judgment. We have a rock for guilt. We have, you know, what else? What else comes up when you think about it? Well, I don't deserve it. You know, I didn't earn it. That's a big one. I didn't earn the right to do that. Well, who says that you have to earn happiness and peace and respect and dignity and pleasure? Who says you have to earn those things? What if you just got those things just because? So whatever you're feeling there, write that down on the rock. You know, maybe you could write like, you know, a U for undeserving. Okay. I'm going to write U. I might be able to write out the whole word here. Okay. So I have another rock that is all about not feeling deserving. Yeah. Wow. Another emotion, and this was a big one for me, was shame. Feeling shameful, like just, I'm so ashamed that I'm going through this. I'm ashamed to fight for my welfare. You know, it's shameful to me. So I'm going to write the word shame. Okay. That was a big one. And this is actually a piece of wood that I found, which is awesome. So we have judgment, we have guilt, we have shame, we have undeserving. There's other things that are coming up for you, I'm sure. Right. So now what you do, you take all these rocks, okay, and you go to a nature spot, or your backyard is fine. anywhere out in public, right? Not inside a grocery store, not inside the movie theater, not inside a public place. We're going to do this outdoors, okay? This is an outdoor sport. And I want you to take the rock and I want you to just throw it as far as you can into wherever, into the water, into the woods, off a cliff, anywhere. And just toss them out. Let those things go. All right. So someone said fault. So yeah, like fault is a big one. Like, probably guilt. I'm thinking that it's like a, I didn't do enough. So could that be like remorse? Can you talk more about that? What you wrote, the parent that wrote that remorse, regret is a big one. I mean, there's so many things that come up, when we think about these things. So write them down on a rock and just toss them as far as you can. And wherever they go, you're giving it up. You're letting it go. You're letting the universe take it. The universe could take on whatever you throw at it. Right. So, so that is the end of this live stream. And if you're still with me, I want you to consider coming on to this masterclass that I'm holding tomorrow night. There's a masterclass tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern time, and another one Thursday night, Eastern Standard Time. Click the link in the description to learn more about what the masterclass is all about. It's all about avoiding the four most common mistakes parents make in family court. So it's free. It's a free masterclass. So come on. And I knew I was going to start coughing. So I've actually been sick since Saturday. I got a COVID test today and it came back negative. So that's what allowed me to leave my house and not infect people. But no, I don't have COVID. I have something else. I've been trying not to cough the whole time. But the masterclass, if you come on to the masterclass, just by signing up, you automatically get a free gift. Okay. Someone said, you literally rock. Thank you. Yeah, no, the rock ceremony is incredible. It feels really good. So I'm probably going to do it tonight, like right outside my office, because I'm not letting these rocks go to waste. I'm going to throw them, So just for signing up for the masterclass, you automatically get a free gift. It's literally going to come to your inbox the second you sign up. So you could have this within 5 minutes. And click the link in the description. I hope to have you on joining us at the masterclass. And thank you for coming on to this live stream. I have one more question I did not answer. So someone says, this is why best interest standards are no good. It creates an adverse reaction between two adults fighting for their best interests. Yes. And so again, I can't stress this enough. If you're a healthy parent, someone says, get your rocks off, Monica. If you're a healthy parent, you can't possibly fight for your best interests without benefiting your child. Okay, I hope that makes sense. I think that's like a double negative, but hopefully you get it. If you're a healthy parent fighting for your own interests, your own welfare, okay, it's impossible for that to not benefit your child. Okay, so in other words, fighting for you, you're fighting for your child. If you fight to stay clear of abuse, like, no, I don't want to engage in co-parenting therapy. I don't want to be evaluated by a doctor when I don't have a mental illness. And even if I did have a mental illness, it's not the government's job to figure that out because I'm not harming my child. Gosh, how many freaking people have a mental illness? Isn't like 40% of the population, right? So do you see 40% of kids in foster care? No, you do not. Most parents with mental illness can parent just fine. Just like people with mental illness could work, they could pay bills, they could freaking drive cars, they could vote, they could do all sorts of stuff. Okay, they are functioning members of society. And if you are being accused of having a mental illness, I think that you should just have. I think that you should challenge the other side to have formal charges pressed against you for your conduct. Okay, if poor conduct is actionable, okay, you could pursue action against somebody for having bad conduct, like a child abuse. You cannot pursue action against somebody just simply for being mentally ill. So again, if you don't want to open yourself up for an evaluation, you could say no to that. We have the right to say no to those things. We have informed consent. And so saying that, you're protecting your child. If you're not spending 20 grand on a psych eval, you can spend $5 grand on, all the food that your child's going to eat for 2 years. So you're conserving resources. Yeah. Oh my God. My daughter, this is dangerous, baby. She's playing with a tick. She put the tick in a little frying pan. No, this is a no. We're going to get rid of him. All right. Cause then he could crawl up on you and bite you again. Okay. We don't want that to happen. And just for the record, guys, there was no blood. The thing was barely implanted. I was able to pull him out with my bare hands, okay, before people start freaking out. We live in Connecticut, and this is literally where like Lyme disease was born.
Mama, can you get him out right now?
Yeah, we're gonna get rid of him, baby. And so ticks are an everyday thing in Connecticut, okay? Before you guys from Arizona who have like no ticks start freaking out on me. All right. Anyway, I'm gonna be ending this live stream. Yes, I appreciate you coming on, just making sure we got all the questions. And we will meet up next Tuesday with Summer O'Brien once again. We're going to be talking about something that's super amazing, and I'm so excited about it. But do come on to the masterclass. All right? Have a great night.
Can I say goodbye?
Yes, you can say goodbye.
Goodbye. I see you next Tuesday.
Okay, I'll see you next Tuesday. You're not coming. She's not coming, no. All right, bye.